Welcome back, darlings. This video is all about this group test of Twisted Loop drying towels. I've been talking about it for a while, finally got around to actually doing it, so hopefully you enjoy it. What I'm going to talk to you about now is what the products are we've got on test, then I go and wash the van, and then I'll get on with the test and explain what I'm doing while I'm doing that. First off though, you'll notice this isn't a Twisted Loop drying towel. It's kind of like the OG microfiber drying towel, single-sided. This is what everyone was using 5 or so years ago, maybe, and hence why I've got some. I've got about 5 of them because you can't dry a single car with one. I find, unless it's like a Fiat 500, normally I have 2 or 3 to get a car done with these. Hence why I have so many. Next is this. This is a Mammoth and dual-sided. I think it's a 1400 GSM. Towel. I have to check the descriptions below for all of these links, all of these below as well. This is Korean, apparently. Let's see if it actually is, I don't know. And that was on Amazon. Then I've got the Rag Company Liquid8r. It's about 1100 GSM, dual-sided. I don't get on with this one at all. I find this one way better, but let's see how it actually performs in the test. Then I've got, now this is a big boy. This is 1400 GSM as well. Look at the size of this. This is the Detailers United Hydro Hoover, although I'm sure it's exactly the same one that you get under different names, because I'm sure they're all made in the same factory. This is the big beast and can do a hell of a lot of drying. But also from Detailers United, I've got this, which is the Hydro Hoover Duo. So it's got a short pile soft microfiber on one side and then a twisted loop on the other. That's quite cool. Useful for different scenarios, I find, but we'll run it through its paces. Now the reason I got this one as well, which I think is particularly good, because the next one is the Rag Company Gauntlet. It's a big old towel. If you know about this, it's kind of like mixed pile. It's got twisted loop and these softer, longer piles as well. So this towel has been two-sided, or this towel, which is kind of mixed pile in the weave, essentially trying to do the same job but taking a different approach. That's what we're going to be testing. It's quite a lot, but I'm going to wash the van first, and then I'll get around the front and on the roof and talk through the test as I go through it. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next bit.
Alright, so let's talk about this test. Firstly, on the bonnet, I'm going to saturate the bonnet, drop the towel on, drag it down in one smooth motion, and then see how dry the panel is left. You can see here with the Hydro Hoover XL, it's practically bone dry. You can see no water on the green area at all, and that will be very different later on. So the next test is doing it on the roof. Big flat panel, saturated with water. This has got about 6-month-old Geon can coat. The bonnet has got about 5-month-old Nova Luster on it. Anyway, drop the towel on, just drag it to the back. The Hydro Hoover XL here, is fantastic because it covers half the roof. This is a bit unusual, I guess, because it's a van roof. But also, it's very heavy, so it really drops into the grooves and sucks up all the water. Some of the smaller towels later on, because they're just not as heavy, did struggle with that a bit. Anyway, now we're on to the next towel, which is the Rag Company Gauntlet. And you're going to see here there's a lot of residual water left on the logo.
Now there's still water stripes here. I don't know if it's coming up in the camera, but the other one was completely bone dry, whereas here I can still see a little bit. Just bring the camera in. It's dried out now because of the sun. Yeah, still very wet here. That's the Gauntlet.
So I'm watching it back here, and the best place I think for you to look is at the kind of in the reflection of the house at the top right. I'm doing the 2 biggest towels back to back in the test here, so you can really see. This is the Gauntlet again, and you can see it's not particularly clear on that house at the moment, and it's wet. It's really wet to touch on the panel still. So I flipped it over again, used the other side of the towel to see if that will help. Again, not any real difference. It's not a good towel. I don't find it works very well. Time for the Liquid8r this time from Rag Company. Again, it's left a bit of residue behind there, you can see, and you can really feel it as well. The problem with these little streaks of residue is that when they dry out, they will leave water spots. So you have to get onto it with a quick detailer afterwards, or you kind of have to rub it harder to dry it more, and therefore increase your risk of marring the paint. This one was definitely better here than the Gauntlet was, but not as good as the Hydro Hoover XL. Still a bit of residual dampness on the panel, but it was better than the Gauntlet. I found here, this is the Hydro Hoover Duo. This left a little bit of residue, but not as much as the Rag Company Liquid8r, so they're better, but not as good as the Hydro Hoover XL. Seeing as it's two-sided, I should probably try both sides. So this was the kind of non-twisted loop side, and I felt that left a lot of residue behind. It was very reminiscent of a traditional microfiber drying towel. Not that that's necessarily an issue, it's very soft, but it's just worth bearing in mind. I don't know if there's much use in this. So consistent with the bonnet, there's a bit of residue left here. Better than the Liquid8r for sure, but not as good as the big Hydro Hoover XL. But using over the other side now, just to kind of think if that would soak up any more, and it's very soft as well to do a second pass. That did help. That did probably get up the rest of it, but there was still something there, you know, like I felt like I had to rub it to really soak it up. So this is the Mammoth, the Korean twisted loop one I got on Amazon. This was bone dry, really good and effective, and it feels very soft as well. Possibly a bit softer than the Hydro Hoover XL. So this was really effective at clearing a lot of that standing water, but you see that the edges next to where those ridges are in the roof, it wasn't really getting into those as much just on a single drag. And that's probably because the cloth isn't as heavy as the big Hydro Hoover XL. That was the point I was trying to make earlier. That thing is so weighty, it really drops down. This is much lighter, so you might need to do multiple passes or just put a gentle bit more pressure on, or pat with your hands. I like the drag technique, which is why that big one works well for me. Anyway, last but not least, let's have a benchmark. On with the old traditional microfiber towel, and yes, yeah, this is going to need a bit more work, and it does. We know that. They saturate out very quickly and stop absorbing, so they're just smearing water around at that point. But they are soft, and they are still better than using a chamois.
That's coming across. That is super soft. Hey, we'll just show you how much better the twisted loop jobbies are. So with that being said, I need to go and dry the whole van. So what we're going to use? That massive Hydro Hoover.
That's all the testing done, so it's time for some conclusions. Hopefully you could see what I was trying to
elicit or demonstrate in the footage. It's quite difficult to shoot, as you can probably imagine. Easier on a dark car, but then it's warmer at the moment, so the water dries out more quickly. Yeah. So I went with my silver van and the green sticker on there, so I see a bit of contrast. Let's talk about these different towels then. Over here, we've got the Ragmaster Gauntlet. Now, you may remember seeing me use this on that Porsche 911 Carrera. That, I think, is probably the best use of this. That car was PPF'd and ceramic coated. And I think this is really kind of the use case where this is good. The benefit here is it's soft, so it doesn't do much marring, or lower chance of inflicting any marring, but it isn't that absorbent. So if you've got, I don't think it's that absorbent, or it takes a lot of effort to absorb, is probably the better way of explaining it. And you have to do a lot more pressure and actual wiping, whereas the other ones you can drag and get a lot out of. So I probably wouldn't buy this one again. However, if you've got a coated car that you could blow off a lot of the standing water from, this is good for mopping up the last bits, and it won't inflict much marring because it is so soft. But if you haven't got a coated car, and that's when I say coating, it doesn't have to be ceramic coated, it could be something that's got a sealant or a wax on, something that's protected, that is getting the water away from the surface that you can blow off, and therefore the car is largely dry. That is a good call. Next, I've got the Mammoth. This is the one I bought on Amazon. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but they're all much for muches, I'm sure. But anyway, I'll send the links down to all this below. So that's the Rag Company Gauntlet. This one is the Mammoth, and I think that's brilliant. I think overall, pound per pound, not in terms of weight, but just like its ability, this is a very, very, very good cloth. I think that I've managed to do, if you see that other video again, I managed to do the whole of that Ford Transit Connect long wheelbase with the one towel, and that wasn't a protected car. No, so there was a lot of water cleaning on the panel still. Very, very, very effective. Doesn't really leave any watermarks behind. Doesn't leave much residue on the surface, therefore it doesn't get watermarks. And of course, I wash with deionised water to help mitigate that too. But even without that, that is a brilliant, brilliant cloth. Next, we've got this dual-sided one from Details United. I was sent that and the Hydro Hoover. So this is the Hydro Hoover Duo. That's the Hydro Hoover, the gold one. I was sent both of those to review, didn't buy those. This one, this is good. I think there's benefits to it, in the sense that if you've got multiple vehicles to do, some that are protected, some that aren't, some that have got protection that's coming to the end of life, so it's not sheeting the water away or beating it away as well as it could do. It is good, but I think because you've got the softer bit for softer paints, for example, which is useful. So if you're doing making multiple different types of vehicles, you might want to use the soft side for that and then the twisted loop side, because that gets to a point. It is said that twisted loop piles, the piled drying towels, are not more likely necessarily, but have a higher chance of marring the paint because they're not as soft, which is fair and understandable. I get it. I've not seen any experience or demonstrations of this, but I get it. But ultimately, I mean, I'd rather have two different types of towel, I think, than have one that's two-sided, and I do that as like from a professional point of view. Obviously, I can keep it and use it because I was given it, and it does serve a purpose. But will I go out and buy that one? I'm not so sure. I'd probably have the Mammoth. But if you have soft paint, then like a Honda perhaps, or something like that, or a show car, you know, whatever, you just want to reduce every possible chance of marring, and it's not coated. Maybe. Like the benefit here is, of course, you can drag to remove a lot of the water, and then you can use the other side to do the actual proper like wiping when it's a lot soft. So benefit there. The old school original towels, they're pretty rubbish compared to these new ones, but they do serve a purpose, and I still use these when I'm using a spray wax, wet wax sort of product to apply. I don't mind these ones getting a bit gunked up with that and needing a wash and stuff afterwards, because I'm spreading it around anyway, so it doesn't matter so much about the absorbency, at which point the long but soft pile is useful for that. So they still have a purpose, but I don't use them that often. The rag company Liquid8r is not worth buying at all. I think that is appalling for the cost. Not too dissimilar to the Mammoth, but the Mammoth performance is way better. This feels rougher than this. This feels far softer. You can't tell, I get it, so you have to take my word for it, but yeah. I said earlier this was a 1400 GSM, it's not, it's 1100. They're both basically the same. The Mammoth, bear in mind the same sort of size. Similar price, far, far better performance, and I think the footage shows that. Ultimately, then we get down to the end here with this Hydro Hoover XL. That is fantastic. If you just want to dry your car, it's still very, very soft by the way, but if you're worried about inflicting marring because of a twisted loop, you may not go for one anyway. If you did, wow. I say wow because it's really big, so it makes it very easy. You saw I was clearing heavy standing water off the top of that van, no problems. The bonnet, one wipe all the way across, and it's done. It's so quick and it's very efficient. And to answer a question that some people say, oh, these big cloths are quite difficult when you're doing the sides of the car. Yes, true, technique comes into play. So you have to hold it a bit more, like hold it at the top and scruff, and then you move your other bit around the bottom, sweep that up the side of the panel. And it does dry. So, I mean, I've not had any problems with it personally. This is the day after. That is still sopping. It shows you how much it absorbs. So it's interesting. When I say sopping, very damp still. Most of these are, but yeah, but this one isn't at all. So it shows you how much more these twisted loop towels absorb. Yeah, so out and out drying performance. This is phenomenal, and I would definitely get one of those. Again, links to that below. Liquid8r from the rag company, not worth it. There are other similarly priced, it's not cheaper, similarly priced, but better performing towels. So certainly go for that, but Mammoth over that. And then if I had to go for a dual pile sort of towel, a soft and a twisted loop as well, I think the Gauntlet is so poor for how much it costs and what it proposes to be, that I would go with the Detailers United one. Now I appreciate I was sent those two Detailers United ones to test, and it may look like I'm giving them a positive review. I would say these two are very, very closely matched. So take your choice on that. This is the big Gauntlet, by the way. Right, so this one's actually pretty dry. It shows you how little it's absorbed then, because it shouldn't be as dry as it is. They do that in smaller sizes, more akin to this as well. And smaller again, I believe. So yeah, it comes with what you want, what sort of cars you are maintaining. If it's for personal use and you've got a soft painted car, or it's coated perhaps, yeah, go for the Gauntlet if you want to. Yeah. If you are doing this for a job and it's all about volume of cars and cleaning them, Hydro Hoover all day long. Or the Mammoth is brilliant. And if you've got a mixture of cars, different type of paints, I'd go for this one. The Hydro Hoover Duo. That's a really long summary, I'm sorry. I just wanted to try and make sure I got all the points over that I wanted to make, and obviously be completely transparent about the fact that I was sent some products, but I also bought a lot as well. So yeah, hope that was useful. I know it's been a long time coming, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, like and subscribe if you get a chance to, that'd be brilliant. Thanks very much.